Okay, so my name is Eric Flemmings, and I'm the president of the Black Interprofessional Student Organization, and I want to welcome everybody to the Touro campus. This is our first time putting together this event called Black State of the Union, in which we will discuss issues that pertain to the African American community, specifically health issues. And really, this is an untraditional format. Dr. Devon Lee is one of the genius minds behind creating this program and the format. And we hope you guys bear with us, and that hopefully everybody has some opinions that they can offer about African American health and ways that we as healthcare providers, future healthcare providers for a lot of us as students, how we can impact some of the negative health outcomes that are occurring in the community today. Before we begin, I just wanted to give some background to the Black Interprofessional Student Organization. We were founded in 2018. Dr. Devon Lee was and is currently our advisor, and myself and Kim were two of the founding members. And since that time, we've been able to do a lot of clinical outreach events. We've been able to partner with nonprofit organizations in the community, such as Faith Food Fridays and the Solano Dream Center, which do a lot of work helping the homeless community. And we've been able to talk to them about health, conduct blood pressure screenings, conduct blood sugar screenings, and connect them with local resources that could help them. And tonight is another event that hopefully we hope has an impact on students and can help to affect some change in the world. With that said, I want to give the floor to Dr. Devon Lee as he leads us into the next part of our program.
So I want to say thank you all for being here. There are plenty of other places that you could be, but you chose to spend your evening here at Touro University California. And at Touro, one of our strongest values is social justice, particularly what can we do to serve the most vulnerable of our populations? And how can we train our students in order to be transformative leaders to attend to that particular goal? With that in mind, this particular event is very much intentional in terms of what we do for Black history. Simply, we make Black history. And the purpose of this event is to bring some of our greatest minds together, and not necessarily our greatest minds, but some people together. One of our panelists, Lawrence Shines, is walking on time. Because this event, in all honesty, couldn't start without you, Lawrence.
Well, thank you. Appreciate everybody waiting for me.
So we appreciate your presence and the presence of everyone here. So the structure of this event is twofold. At the beginning of the event, the panelists will simply speak amongst one another. They will introduce themselves, how they understand racism and healthcare and health disparity, and through their positions and roles, think about ways in which we can kind of attend to some of these issues. For the first about 45 minutes, they'll exchange a back and forth conversation. For those who are on the, for lack of a better term, outer circle, your goal is to simply listen and think about where do you see yourself in the imagination of a solution, in the imagination of what change may look like. Because the second part of it is really all about you. How can we be a part of a concerted action? How can we be a part of planning something that will uplift humanity and to attend to the values of social justice? There is an important reality that I think Touro University California serves, and I think particularly one of the things that speaks to that is the fact that our provost, the chief academic officer, is here in the audience amongst all of us. And what's also important about that reality is so are at least two of our deans, Dean Norton and Dean Stephen Jacobson. As is the case with all of us here, we all care about this subject. And particularly for those who or at the level of dean, these are our decision makers. They're here to learn, they're here to contribute, they're here to really be change that we all seek to create. So with that in mind, I want to give a round of applause to our decision makers. I also like to give a round of applause to our audience. Again, you could have been anywhere but you chose. So I will be your moderator, and I will simply hang out. I'll pull up a chair a little bit later. But essentially, my role is to help the conversation go. That is my only job. So really, the onus is on you all to simply have a conversation. And for the audience members, I beg of you, please don't get too bored, because the second part is really all about you all. And this is going to be a collective dialogue where we all engage and really give our, not necessarily 2 cents, because I'm sure you all have more than that, but simply give our best contribution to the conversation to really think about change. I mean, oftentimes in academic settings, we talk about the problems. And it's difficult from that perspective to actually affect change. But when we invite the community to those conversations about the problems that they most likely experience, and we as power brokers have the ability to think about and build relationships to affect that change, that's when it's most likely to happen. So for us, we need you to really hold true to our mission. And the purpose of this event, in some sense, is for the community to hold us accountable, for us to be accountable for our mission. And that's why we open the doors to this particular conversation. So with that in mind, I give the mic to Assefaw Ghebrekiedan to go ahead and start the conversation, particularly about the role that public health plays in dealing with the issues of healthcare disparity and his particular take on that reality.
When Devon said that this is going to be informal, I was expecting that somebody else would start the discussion until I think what I had in mind was that I would like to give the issue of that more a global perspective and the connection local, but also regional and global. So what comes to my mind was that I am from Nemesia, and I was born in Africa. So I'm going to start by saying something about Africa. In the 50s, Ghana was one of the first countries to be. And the president of the United States, Nixon, went to Ghana for the celebration. And I imagine at that time, Accra was Ghana, Johnson, and Nixon for them. And this was one guy, very happy, dancing the street. And he called him and said, "How does it feel?" And the guy looked at him. I wouldn't know, sir, I am from Alabama. The guy was actually from the United States. Now, my point is really the global after the Second World War, when we were obliged to define health. Health was defined as a physical, mental, and social well-being. Now, physical we understand, it doesn't mean to be healthy. Mental or physical. But nobody was sure what social health is. That's the part that we now, the social well-being does mean, later on the level, they say that it cannot be healthy unless all the basic human rights, uses that are really indulged, because this is part of the rights that are all in that simply. So they define it in such a way that every person has the right for good life, for healthy life. So they make health as a human in that definition. And that's over 70 years ago. Many countries started doing that. In the West now, we have a better health system. Here, it was interesting because Nixon again, after this war, when they decided to support the right of self-determination for the countries, because the liberation of medical liberation. And Kissinger said that he didn't announce this. And Nixon asked him, what does self-determination mean? What is that? There would be sort of countries who demanding that in Africa, and they would be okay. How does this impact our black people? And Kissinger explained. And the statement was released from the session. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that unless human rights are met, we cannot be healthy. We cannot be social health. Unless a social health, we cannot physically as well as mentally.
Thank you. Just really quickly, before we begin to pass the mic around, can everyone just state their name and the organization that they represent and their title? Not necessarily that order.
If you turn the mic up too, because it was very difficult to hear.
Oh, okay.
Much better.
My name is Asantewaa Ghebrekiedan. I am global health professor at Touro University California.
Hi, my name is Shandi. I'm a pediatrician and deputy health officer for Solano County Public Health as well as Family Health Services.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Stein. I'm with the Bayard Rustin Coalition. My title is, I don't really have a official title. I do some everything and multiple things. I have my trainings. And otherwise, I'm just a regular guy.
Jack of all trades is the title.
My name is Eric Flemmings. I'm a second-year pharmacy student here at Touro University.
My name is Marganick, Bien-Aime, and I'm a PA and PH student here at Touro University.
My name is Asantewaa Boykin. I am an ER nurse and also the co-founder of the Interprofessional.
My name is Rhonda Renfro. I'm the executive director and founder of Club Strive Incorporated.
My name is Nemesia. I'm an assistant professor in the public health program here at Touro University California.
Thank you. Can you continue where Assefaw left off?
Sure. So I'm really excited to be here. I just want to thank Beverly for organizing this event, and it's an honor to participate. And usually in Black History Month, I'm working, and I feel like it's long overdue to actually participate and come together in the community and talk about issues that really matter to us. Speaking from my own perspective as a public health professional, and I'm really aspiring, a junior, I feel like a junior faculty still, just beginning my research experience here at Touro, and my thinking around health disparities really centers on what I've been focusing on for my class and our new concentration on equity and criminal justice here at Touro in the public health program. And I have to say I'm very proud of our leadership for never letting us go over the last, I don't know how many years, 12 years. We've been developing ideas for this emphasis and now our concentration. And I'm just very, very fortunate to be part of it and being able to teach a class on criminal justice and public health. And I just began like this journey, I think about, I don't know, 5 years ago, I guess, really concerned with the impact of the policies and practices that have been created and perpetuated in the US that have resulted in health disparities, not only in, just health disparities, but also disparities within the criminal justice or legal system that we have in this country. And looking at the intersection of criminal justice and public health, looking at involvement in criminal justice system as a social determinant of health. I really feel like that should be part of those diagrams that we always see with all of them. Like, okay, sometimes maybe I look at other diagrams by other scholars that, they actually have prison in the middle of this system and how everything feeds out and it's linked, interlinked to the prison system. Beth Ritchie has been starting to reach me about her and her focus on what she calls prison nation. And so I really look at, the U.S. as a prison nation. It was really designed that way from the very beginning, from colonialism down to genocide of peoples here and the legacy of enslavement. And that's when we really started to see prison populations when we had emancipation. And emancipation. And so we've really been focusing on the impacts that go well beyond individuals who have been criminal justice involved, that spill over into our communities, our families, our just the overall population. But really, I see the decimation of populations, specifically with African American population, where we have 34% of the African Americans comprising the general population in prisons. And this is all, happening as we're, between the 1970s and now. We're seeing such a rise in mass incarceration overall in this country, but directly as a result of policies and practices that were designed to do many things. Social control, control of wealth and resources and greed. But that's really where my focus is right now, and it's all I live, breathe, and eat. And every week is exciting to meet with my students and discuss all the topics from prevention and youth to the impact of prison health, public health systems within prisons. It's like incredible how I listen to these researchers talking about all the things we've done at the CDCR facility level. But it's just that's really what I think about. I think it's one of the most important issues of our time. But Dr. Assefaw was mentioning human rights, and human rights. This is about human rights, and the violation of human rights, the violence that's perpetuated in this country on people of color, both Black and brown. And I just struggle with the fact that our prison population is overwhelmingly poor and Black. And there's statistics we talked about earlier, like we want to talk about too much statistics, but I just this is something that I'm really focused on, and the impacts of public health on our communities.
So my name is Rhonda, Renfro, the Executive Director of Bayard, which is a youth empowerment organization that primarily focuses on getting young people, mainly high school students, actively involved in civics using media and technology. And I'm here today because I know that civics or civic engagement is a social determinant of health. And one of the things I've also known is that public health interventions have a higher likelihood of success when they occur within the community where the residents are more willing to participate and exhibit higher levels of civic engagement. When I look around my city, I don't see that. That's why we exist. My organization exists. I see very little of it. And I believe that whatever intervention public health implements in our city is going to be less likely to be was going to be more likely to be less impactful because of the condition of the people here and the healing that needs to take place. It's a deeper understanding of the people here that needs to come first. Because the change is going to come. What this is telling you is that the change is actually going to come from us, from the people, from the residents. It's not going to come from politicians. So if you think you can vote change in, it's just not going to happen. It's going to happen with each and every one of us working together, building community, learning to collaborate in ways collectively that allow us to exercise real power. And so that's why we do what we do. Because no matter what anybody does, and even if the social networks are not there to pass along whatever interventions public health is implemented, it will go not very far. It will have very little impact. And we've seen that over and over and over again. We're putting band-aids on an open wound. People are hurting in the city of Vallejo, in Solano County, but really deeply in the city of Vallejo. And it is something that we cannot ignore. We have to, I'm hoping that public health will take a closer look at civic engagement in the city of Solano County as a whole, and begin to, as I'm not sure if this is happening right now, but if it's not happening, begin to look at what is happening in the city in terms of the people's power there to move along any initiative that public health tries to implement. So that's what I want to talk about today.
My name is Asantewaa. My organization, APTP, has worked diligently for a while now with our primary goal, eradicating things here. Most recently, one of our projects is called Mental Health First, where we provide crisis care for folks where they are at, right? There's no demand that you come to our office where we are. I feel it's one of those things we have to start reimagining what healthcare looks like in order to reach the entire population of folks, especially in this delivery culture where you can have everything kind of like dropped off at your front door. Yet we still demand that our patients come to us, and we assume that our patients have access to it to us. And then there's this is something that I'm grappling with in my practice, acknowledging that there's a power dynamic, and that power dynamic only exists because my patient doesn't have all the information, because we haven't created the kind of healthcare system that has an informed patient, especially in the emergency department. Things move so fast, and it's just like, just take the pill, I gotta move on. Put the sticker here next. Oh, you're allergic to this, do this, and then, right, because we're all moving so fast, and it's not patient-centered, it's process-centered. Billing center, to be more frank. So as I would like to hear from this conversation, like what are folks imagining what healthcare is going to look like in 10 years, in 20 years, as we, especially those of us coming up in the healthcare system, what kind of things do we see differently? And how do we create this? The healthcare system has to be, this is what I'm trying to say, we have to dismantle this, right? It's no different than having to dismantle prisons or policing, because healthcare in this country was based on white supremacy, meaning that To be normal means to be white and to be male. And if you're not white or male, then you deviate from that. So how do we dismantle that?
My name is Marganick, and I specifically chose to come to this program because it is the only program in the country that incorporates a public health degree with PA studies. And that to me was extremely important. I saw that Touro, or I thought that Touro obviously understood what was going on in regards to public health and social justice. And surprisingly, it has been very interesting being in a classroom where we're thinking of medicine and public health as one, as it really should be. But that being said, walking in a classroom the first day, I know that I will be one of the very few, if not the only Black person in that class. And yes, there are less Black people in America than there are white. But why is that something I have to think about? Why is it a problem? And it's because of the discrimination and the backlash we've faced throughout all these years. I think that even if I've worked very hard to get here, or whatever I have to bring to the table, that's undermined just because of the color of my skin. People will always see me first by the color of my skin, regardless of what I have to bring or what I have to offer. And that's a structural issue. It's something that has been deeply embedded in our educational systems for years, and something that, you know, we're having a conversation about now, which is fantastic. But I think all of us can agree, we're kind of tired of talking about this. We've been talking about this for hundreds of years. It's exhausting. And again, this goes into health outcomes. We're already stressed here as students. Now I have to think about this on top of my stress, on top of my stress, which adds more stress, which adds negative health impacts to my life. And where does it end? Where does it stop? And so I'm really glad we're here, and we're hopefully going to bounce some ideas off of each other, because as she said, it's going to come from us. We can't keep looking outwards for somebody else to help us, somebody else to give us the answer, somebody else to give us a solution. We are the solution. And so I'm really glad to be here.
I look at these issues not really from an academic perspective, because a lot of these issues hit really close to home. So it's always interesting when I hear like politicians, people speak about issues like, you know, the prison system. And for me, when I go home to Stockton, California, that's a regular conversation about who just went to jail, who just got out of jail, who just got shot. And these aren't like statistics that I'm looking at on a piece of paper. Those are very real people that I either went to school with, or that are affiliated with younger cousins of mine, or, you know, even police brutality cases. A lot of those things, they hit very close to home. It's not something that I'm removed from. And to piggyback off of what Marganick said, the solution to a lot of these problems and a lot of these things that we face, it has to come from inside. And the problem that I have with just the system in general is that these solutions have always been there and they're always put to use. But the act of us empowering ourselves is seen as a threat to everybody else. So there is, like, we watched 13th last week. Black Interprofessional Student Organization had a movie night. We watched 13th. And it's just fascinating to see how every Black organization that has aimed to make change in their communities is closely monitored by the FBI and is considered a threat by the justice system. So there is no way for us to progress forward if we're viewed under the lens of these people are a threat and we have to continue to neutralize them and stop them from progressing. And as a result, all of the progress that we do make ends up going nowhere, because all the leaders, there's an active campaign to stop that from happening. So it's like you get stuck in an impossible situation. And for me, just being educated being one of the few people out of my groups of friends who actually made it to college and who is now in pharmacy school, and being able to read these books and see what's happening, it creates even more frustration on top of what you have to deal with on a daily basis, where you feel like trapped. You feel like, wow, there's nothing I can do, because even if I want to change the world, I'm going to be looked at as somebody who has to be stopped.
So I have a question for all the Black people in the room, and I'll continue. How many of you can remember the first time that you were called the N-word? Now, how many of you can remember the last time that you were treated like one? I want to just keep that in mind, that people's personal histories are very much intertwined with the history of the United States. And those same histories are also part of their language. So with that in mind, I will continue passing.
I'm Martin Shandi from the Bayard Coalition. We're a group that has worked quite a bit with the same gender loving and transgender community. We regularly support and uplift Black folks, because no one else will. It's something we do. As far as just looking at the greater issues of the state of Black America as far as health, one thing that we must consider is the way that our system is set up. Some mentioned here, that it's not going to come from outside. It's not going to come from government. It's not going to come from the system, because the system was not designed for us. It was designed to use us. It's going to be what uses for labor. You can't use us for labor. Use us for prison fodder, which generates another sort of economy. We look at it from the beginning, from the emancipation, as the sister referred to. Right after that, there was supposed to be the 40 acres of a meal to help us out. Beforehand, and then you had to turn the land and generate income. That was taken away. There was sharecropping, which is a very much great system, which pretty much everybody in this room is aware of, and if you're not, was a way that people who were working in agriculture were forcibly indebted always to white landowners, white business owners, white shop owners, who provided the goods. You could never work your way out of it, even though supposedly you could on paper, but really you could not. You were constantly indebted. If you did not pay the person that you owe, you're going to end up in trouble, maybe even dead. You look at people who stayed to the northern areas, northern states, and wanted to work and develop it. People who had skills like blacksmiths, that sort of thing. Shortly after that, around the time unions were set up, trade unions. In order to do certain types of work, you had to have a union affiliation. Those unions were exclusive, so that as a Black person, you could not work in them. So therefore, you had to end up working for someone else who was white and probably did not like you much. Otherwise, you couldn't, and if you did try to open your own shop road, you would end up being dealt with very shortly after. So that was another way to suppress. Then also we have the prison system and the jail as we know it now. And it was in its formative years then. So the pulling you over, the arrest, the beating, that sort of stuff, which is just a continuation of slavery anyway. And it's interesting how even today, over 100 years later, we still have that very much in our police. I mean, how many Black people, maybe even Black men specifically, have been pulled over and harassed in their life in a way that seems outside of itself by the police? I know I have. And I know there's people who are nodding and have not raised their hands. Just looking at, I'll just go myself quickly, I'll try to wrap this up. I'm 53 years old. I have been pulled over by the police since I started driving in 1986 and 16, about 40 times. I don't speed. I don't have a car with loud exhaust or anything like that, no big sound systems and that stuff. They just pulled me over. Whose car is this? Sorts of attitude, tons of stuff, and just over and over and over again. And most recently, in Vallejo, last time I got pulled over, I was with my former partner. We were coming back from a holiday party. We had to overindulge, we're speeding. Cop pulls us over. What's going on, sir? Oh, your lights aren't on. My car is a sort of car that has automatic lights at night. As soon as it gets dark, the lights come on. And I said to a monster, my lights went on? Oh, well, they are. I thought they weren't. So it's just the way things are run there. So stepping forward with the system setting up historically. Police. Then we move into the turn of the century, where we had people coming in, black folks out in the north, out to work, and we started having immigration. Immigration is a wonderful thing for people who are able to come to the United States and benefit from it. But for black folks, it's not been so good. You look at in the Ellis Island, that sort of thing. There was a management class called in from Europe. Many Europeans coming in from all over Europe, those things coming into France, Ireland, UK, what have you, to start a new life. Those folks were brought into the management class. Africans were not allowed to immigrate. And folks ended up becoming our managers. Opportunities for us were just weren't there. And even moving forward today, with people coming in from the countries, looking for a better life, we're able to find it here. Work for, be exploited at a lower paid rate than jobs that maybe some black folks might do. Other folks say, oh, no, I want the immigrant person because they'll work for us. Or maybe they're not talking, so I can exploit them. And then that leaves black folks maybe to work those jobs, the top jobs. And we just go on and on and on and on and on. What the Bayard Coalition does is that we seek restorative justice. We talk to folks about history. Folks kind of get an idea of where things have come from. And also we encourage folks to esteem. We a lot of encouragement, health, meditation, connecting to different resources. And sometimes we end up having protests and messages too. It is going to come to us.
So my name is Shandi. I'm a pediatrician, and listening to everyone speak, and everyone resonates a little bit. Something that might knock my head to everyone that you said something that resonates with me. But as a pediatrician and as a first and foremost a Black female doctor that did their training in the South and had to face the realities of racism very early on, having conversations with my parents about racism and how I would be viewed, not because, they just want to have a conversation, but to help protect me, because they knew the obstacles that I was about to face, especially going into a profession, which somebody alluded to, that is very white, male dominated, and is very conservative. Medicine doesn't change much. And it doesn't really, a lot of times, things outside of the box. You're trained a certain way and to analyze things a certain way. And then sometimes, unfortunately, kind of is more repetitive. And so, thinking about this for me, it comes down to when I think about my family, my patients, and, the question is like, is racism in medicine? Of course it is. It's been there since the beginning. And those ideologies that people had, slavery, unfortunately hasn't changed very much. Even as students, I know you don't want us to talk much about studies, but I have to bring this one up. Because they did do a study about, thickness of skin, bone density, pain tolerance, and they asked people who were, had no medical background. Then they asked people who were first-year students, residents, and the study was done in 2016, so just a couple of years ago, right? And so, in order for you to even get into medical school, you have to know a little bit about anatomy, a little bit about, biology, and those kind of things, right? So it stands to reason that, okay, maybe people without any training, base their answers on stereotypes, because when they ask people these questions, do white people have, thicker skin, thicker bones? It was about 50% that said yes. But you would think that with like a little bit of training, that those stereotypes would change and you'd be educated. Unfortunately, it didn't change. first year students still said that Black people have thicker skin than Bones. You know, third year residents still say the same thing. And these are the people that are treating my mom, you know, treating my niece, treating me. And we wonder why we hit this brick wall every time, you know, and we're just being told, oh, you just need to advocate for yourself more, you know, you just need to speak up more. You know, it's your fault, you didn't tell the doctor, right? But I know from personal experience that that's not true. And I'm a doctor. So I know, you know, the jargon and how to speak, and I know the system a little bit and everything. And I have to advocate for my mom all the time. And it's so frustrating. And I can only imagine if you don't have that training, like how frustrating that can be, you know. If you don't speak the language, how frustrating that can be. Because there's a certain level of respect doctors have and a level of trust. Like they have, in order for us to be able to treat you, we have to have your trust, right? So I'm going in there trusting that you're going to give me the best medical care. And unfortunately, that's not always the case, you know. And so, you know, we have to look at this and we have to look at these trends and these cycles and think, you know, why isn't this changing, you know? And it comes back to the systemic, you know, issue, you know, that this systemic racism and this, and it's not even talked about. You know, when I did my training, we didn't talk about health disparities like we're talking about it now. You know, we talked about it like, okay, Black people have high blood pressure because there's a genetic defect, you know, which implies that we're genetically inferior, you know. And so that's what my training was. It wasn't until after I went to medical school and I started learning about, you know, genetics in a real sense and learning about these disparities. I was like, wait, hold up, that's not the case, you know. There's things called stress, and you were talking about, you know, that's causing these things. And where's the stress coming from? You know, if I have education, if I have wealth, and I have a baby, then my baby is going to have a higher likelihood of dying than my white counterpart that doesn't have education, that doesn't have money. You know, why is that? You know, that doesn't really make sense if you think about it. I have resources, but it comes back down to racism, okay? It comes back down to the stress that we have to go through just having those microaggressions. You know, walking into the room and you are the only one that looks like you. And so now you have the burden of all that on your shoulders, you know, not even really being conscious of it, but now you have to be the voice, you know, walking into that room. And that's stressful, you know, especially when you're a student, because the power differential is not in your favor, right? So you have an attending, like I did when I was in residency, and I had a 5-year-old Black boy with sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia causes severe pain, so much so that you are hospitalized and giving very strong pain medicines just to be able to tolerate it. A 5-year-old Black boy came into the hospital. And my attending did not want to give him pain medicine because he thought he was drug seeking. How can a 5-year-old be drug seeking? And me trying to advocate as an intern for my patient, knowing that this doctor, who was an older white male doctor that was very, very conservative and like very, very old school, you know, and trying to convince him that this patient was not drug seeking and he's fine, you know, it just blows my mind. And so those are kind of like the obstacles that we have to be realistic about and talk about, you know, because with that story, there's like 100 other stories of the same thing happening. And what you were saying, I agree with you when you were saying like, we have an answer. You know, we've done things in the past that actually have changed these disparities. And it just so happens that it is not federal government, it is defunded. You know, all of a sudden we don't have money for that program. All of a sudden, you know, that's not a priority anymore. And so what happens is those programs go away. And then what happens is those disparities increase. And so what we need to think about is sustainability, you know, like what can we do because we have the answers, but what can we do so that if something happens to you, that program lives on, you know? It's not just on one person, you have to come together collectively so that it can endure anything that tries to attack it. So that's the reason why I wanted to be a part of this conversation.
Okay, I think we're fine. So thank you, Dr. Fuller. With that in mind, I want us to begin to kind of think about things that other folks have said and respond to it, so that we can have a conversation only for the next 15 minutes. And then we want to just have a collective conversation with the crowd. So particularly around what you said, Dr. Fuller, about your experience with racism as a student position, your experience as a physician. And your experience, just looking at what the research shows us, I think is important. And I think it's particularly important in a place such as this. I'm trained as a sociologist. I, with my education, can be teaching anywhere. And I chose to come to a health science institution because in the spirit of W. Du Bois, I look at this as an opportunity to create a sociological laboratory where we could actually affect change. And I look at the onus of change as simply working with future practitioners so that they can, in some sense, prevent the same things from happening as those who are practicing are doing. So we have an opportunity to simply do better than what has been done in the past. Again, I looked at this opportunity to work at Touro as an opportunity to make history. And self-celebratory, congratulations to me, actually, there has been a nationwide movement to create structural competency in university classrooms. As of yesterday, over 400 students have had structural competency training here at Touro University. And our structural competency training talks about racism, sexism, homophobia. We talk about intersectionality. We talk about practitioner bias as a social determinant of health. And we very much intentionally train our students so that they can not only be practitioners of medicine, pharmacists, physician assistants, but practitioners of social justice. So with that in mind, I'd like to, you all, think about what's been said by your colleagues and respond. Thinking about, well, where are the solutions based on what you heard? Dr. Fuller provided quite a few within her sphere of influence, the things that she can actually do, touch, feel, change, influence. She's already started some things, and Dr. Fuller is a poet. Dr. Fuller, as a co-facilitator of Solano Fields, has recruited a number of people to go into the community to develop processes where people are getting the mental health, at least assessment that they need, so that they can themselves find the resources that they need. Dr. Fuller has worked with me to create a race equity training, and we have been training at Kaiser, and we'll be training in all the Solano County facilities, so that our practitioners can develop the skill set to imagine, as you put it, rather reimagine a type of healthcare that goes to the community where it's needed the most. So, given your sphere of influence and given what someone said, I want you all to respond to anyone in this circle to think about something that they said that just you vibe, that you wanted to respond to. So I leave the floor open to anybody who wants to take the mic.
wanted to respond to you actually. You spoke about meditation within your organization. And I know when people hear meditation, they're like, all right, kumbaya, you know, we get it. But there's an actual science behind it that a lot of people don't realize. And it's actually, without getting too crazy into it, you're rewiring your neurons in your body when you're doing that. And it's changing the processes of your brain. And a project that I'm currently working on with Dr. Lee here is getting that incorporated within the Black community, because after years of hearing how worthless we are and this and that, you start to believe that. We're only human, and it affects us, whether we know it or not. And through the process of meditation, I'm really glad that your organization realizes the importance of it. You're able to slowly get that back. And by doing so, we'll be able to take action for ourselves and for people in our community. So I was really glad to hear that's something that's really important. So Dr. Fuller, thank you so much. So, you know, we are all different. Right? Very different. I was raised in Southern California, and my experience is a little different. I remember when I was in high school, can't remember what exactly happened, but I went to my mom and telling her about this incident that happened, and talking to her about racial things that were happening on my high school campus, or things that I was hearing about in the news regarding racism. And she said, that's over. She said, you don't have to worry about that anymore. She said, you can do whatever you want to do. And I believed her. I mean, I literally, deep down in my heart and my soul, I believed her. And from that point on, that's how I walked out my life, and I continue to walk out my life that way. Are there obstacles that come my way? Yes. But I still believe her, and I still believe in myself. And that's what we need. Regardless of what happens next, that's what we need. We need to believe in ourselves.
I would definitely agree with that. And I think not just using meditation, though that's a very effective strategy, but I know some people who don't enjoy meditation. But there's other things out there. There's yoga, there's exercise, right? There's identifying what you need to have in order for you to care for yourself and build yourself up. Because especially preparing African Americans to go out into the workforce where you most likely are going to be the only one of your kind, depending on what line of work you're in. You're going to have those moments where you really build yourself back up, because you're going to deal with microaggressions where somebody makes an offhanded remark that they didn't even realize they made, but you realize that, wow, did it just happen? Did they just say that to me? Or different ways that other students may try to relate to you, and you're just like, wow, you think that's what I want to talk about right now. And it's just always interesting dealing with those situations, because to them, it's like they probably even forgot that conversation even happened. But for you, you're left with the remnants of that conversation, and now you have to deal with the emotional baggage. You can't ignore it, because if you ignore it, you're just setting yourself up for even more stress and just even more repressed emotions, and you could fall into a depression. So it's like you have to deal with it. And I think that one of the things that I've learned with getting older is effective self-care. Though, I know myself at times. I gotta say this is a rough one, but it feels good being in this program, and even programs like this, right, where you're able to vent and discuss these kinds of things, and even have other people acknowledge its existence. Because so many times in these conversations, you have to, before you even get to a solution, you have to debate the fact that racism even exists. It's like, all right, before before we even get to a solution, I have to convince you that this thing still happens. It's not overt anymore. You know, you're not gonna try to drag me out, well, maybe, but you're not gonna try to put your hands on me unless you're a police officer or something. But you're still gonna deal with those covert kinds of racism and things that people unconsciously believe. And I think on that part of things, unfortunately, that's like a conversation that somebody has to have with themselves. They have to be willing to deal with their own biases in ways that they may be racist and may be unaware of. And then from our perspective, we have to be diligent about caring for ourselves and having strategies to build ourselves up and making sure that our self-esteem is high and that even though other people may devalue you, never devalue yourself. And that you have a support group of other people who do you are.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think sometimes when racism is in your face, it's actually easier to deal with. You know, like I say, when my first job was in North Carolina, and I had to go to this like little clinic, and there was a sign that said, "If you're Black, don't be here after dark." You know, so it's like, okay, I get your point. You know, but it's just, you know, I've had these conversations from high school, junior high, talking to like my friends, white, Black, you know, and my white male friend was on the opposite side, you know, and so we would have like these debates about racism and like, you know, what it's like, and he would have his viewpoint, I would have mine, but I value those conversations, especially now, because I feel like it prepared me, you know. When I did my undergraduate, I went to Historically Black University, and I know we're at Touro, but I just kind of said, I went to Howard. But I didn't see you back there. Yeah. But the reason why I say that is because that was the first time that I wasn't Black. You know, that was the first time that I could just be me. And it was like such a freeing environment that those 4 years gave me that I don't think I will always cherish. And again, that was another thing that kind of prepared me, because right after that, I ended up moving to Florida, which is like complete opposite, you know? And so it's like, you know, if I didn't have that, I don't think I would be able to do like the self-care and the whole like self-image of myself, you know, got strengthened during that time period. And the other thing that you all mentioned was self-care, and you mentioned a little bit about mental health. One of the reasons why we focused on mental health wasn't our idea, it came from the community. You know, it was like, this is where we need the resources, this is where we need the help. And, you know, as a Black community, we're not always the best about talking about mental health and, you know, going to therapy, or, you know, we usually try to keep that to ourselves. And I think it's so important to destigmatize that, and that's what we try to do, you know, and bring awareness to that, because if you don't, it's just going to eat you up inside, and all that stress is just going to, you know, give you an early death, really. And so self-care, whatever you do, whether it be mindfulness, meditation, yoga, walking, talking to a friend, reading a book, whatever, is so important to like incorporate in just like your daily life, because at the end of the day, it's like, we're not going to change racism overnight. You're still going to face those microaggressions on a day, and unfortunately, it doesn't get any easier from when you become a student to when you graduate. So unless you have some kind of coping mechanism, you know, it's just going to wear you down, you know, and so you have to have an outlet somewhere.
All right, so just to be mindful of time and perhaps hunger, I want to give us about a 5-minute break to go ahead and get some food, and then we'll come back to have a community conversation. So 5-minute break, then we'll come back.
Hi, coming back to the stage. There was some thoughts I was having as we were in the circle, and I was trained a while ago, not the whole. But I think prior to probably in the last few years, my organizing life existed like in one box, and then my care provider life existed like in another box. And as time went on, I began to see that they really, in order to be truly effective, they have to coexist, right? So be in the same space. And just understand that as practitioners, as healthcare providers, our voices are super valuable, and that we have to work side by side with activists, organizers, radicals, right? Because it's our voices that sometimes a little bit in the favor of the people, right? Like when we show the white coats and we say, I'm Asantewaa, Boykin, RN, right? Like when we're engaging with power structures, those things mean something, right? And even just having the educational privilege to be able to speak the language of the folks who do have power, we should definitely be using that to benefit not only ourselves, but the community at large. We're talking about community care. And I believe there's a stigma that Black folks don't engage in mental health, right? I don't believe that that's true. I think that we don't engage in the clinical process that has been established, right? I remember my mother doing lots of things, right, to quell her anxiety, but it was not medication. It wasn't talking to a therapist. Maybe it was talking to her girlfriend, right, or deciding to just sit wherever she was sitting. Maybe she was smoking a cigarette, but I always remember her taking a moment of silence just for herself, or solitude just for herself. And even though that's not called mindfulness, or it's not called meditation, that we do engage in those practices. And as people of color and those with the ability to kind of legitimize these practices, we should be injecting these practices into our textbooks, into our own practices, right? So that we see a reflection of ourselves, so that our patients see a reflection of themselves in the way that they already exist, as being healthy, right? Not that they have to do something else in order to be what is considered a healthy, sustainable,
Yes, when I guess my voice carries with me. It's it is so important what you're talking about as far as what we call a catch-all of self-care, and as far as African Americans, the idea that we don't engage in mental health, that sort of thing. It's true, we don't do it as much in the clinical sense that folks talk about. You know, go to be a psychiatrist, they're on the couch, and let's go ahead and decide and play out for it. You know, that's not something that we do as much. I believe it is important to put into, as you mentioned, our textbooks, the understanding of the ways that we can do self-care. Some people that may even want to go have clinical experience just don't have access. There are parts of the country or social and economic classes or lack of insurance that they can't go do that. So to find out some of the quote-unquote old ways we need to take care of ourselves. There weren't the physicians, the drugs, the clinicians. Find those little things that we can do for ourselves day to day to heal. That the esteemed builders that help folks be at peace in the midst of all sorts of challenges and chaos 1,500 years ago. We discovering that old stuff and picking it back up. Just because old doesn't mean obsolete. Bringing those things back to the surface, I think, will be central in our curative behaviors.
I just want to say I've been listening to some podcasts about indigenous wellness, and just hearing indigenous people talk about this kind of the structure of some of the societies and some of the ways the activities people chose to engage in. They were saying that the core of some indigenous societies is the relationship people have with one another. And a lot of the activity was built around, ensuring that those relationships are strong and people are healthy and have good connection with one another. And I think, I feel like that's something that's kind of lacking in the dominant culture here. It's not lacking in every culture, but this is a culture isolated from one another. And there aren't really a lot of cultural and community building events or activities that exist. I feel like I had the privilege of learning a little bit about Carnival in Brazil, which is like this huge celebration. I always thought about it as like this one big day of partying. But someone was telling me that basically every community, every school, every institution, every neighborhood, they all have like a contingent that participates in Carnival celebration. They all have outfits that they pick, certain dances they practice for weeks and weeks and weeks. These community groups, and then they all show up together, at Carnival as this, as this community, and everyone gets to see one another, and they're all celebrating. And it's kind of a bonding, experience. Think about the contact hypothesis, the importance of different groups having contact with one another, so that they kind of humanize groups that might be different from ours. So the importance of that contact, the importance of that community, is really important, and helps to reduce a lot of stress. And the other thing we talked about meditation, we talked about stress reduction, we talked about healing. I really think I appreciate a number of panels, in particular, we talked about the importance of healing as kind of a start for building power in the community, right? A lot of times, because of the medical industrial complex, we don't have access to the mechanisms of our own healing. We have to go to other places, we have to purchase things, we have to rely on other people's education. But the truth is, there are a lot of old ways, there are a lot of things people do, a lot of things people do bring some kind of homeostatic return, basically bring that stress down to baseline that don't involve medications and going to the hospital. So I think you're absolutely right, and I think healing some of the traumas that settler colonialism has brought about communities, and building power through that healing is definitely something that's needed. Something that I have a background in clinical psychology and cognitive neuroscience. When I was thinking about what I want to do with my skill set and my education, it was not to be in academia and use my education and college papers and stuff. So I wanted to be a part of the process that brings about healing.
So I have kind of a down and out story, because I lived in the Tenderloin for many years in San Francisco and stayed in an SRO. And there was a guy there named Hamid who, I don't know how familiar you are with the Tenderloin, but there's the St. Anthony's food thing that has 3 meals a day and lots of different opportunities. But this guy was too proud to go to the free food places or whatever. And he would just sit down in the lobby and, would be like, I need to eat. So I ended up, spending maybe hundreds of dollars every month buying, fruit pies and jerky, because he was like starving and that was what he wanted to eat. And so then he would get into a situation where he would be increasingly desperate, and I think he would engage in some sort of crime, and then he would go to the jail. And it was like such a relief to me that he went to the jail, because then I knew that he was, at least getting peanut butter sandwiches and bananas. These things in food. So I'm not sure you were in the blue check shirt, yeah. When you talked about talking about who's in jail this time, who's out of jail and stuff, and the kind of stress on the community that generates, that really struck a chord with me, because I don't think I'll ever forget this story. And I just wonder if anyone else has a story that, because eventually this guy stayed in jail so long, gave his room to someone else. And the last I heard, he was on the street in the winter. So, I don't know if he's still alive. And these things are, very stressful realities. And I wondered if anyone knows of different outcomes to those kinds of things and what might be possible, Yeah.
Is someone going to respond to him? If not, I'm just waiting to see. Okay, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. Dr. Renfro made the statement again about health. And one of the things I think in order for us to be able to heal, especially in this community, is that Vallejo itself needs to step away from the statement that we are the #1 diverse community in the nation. I hear that so much, I'm about to choke. Because the reality is that Black and brown people do not get what we deserve, and we know that. But we also need to talk about what comes along with the stresses of Black people within itself. The color structure that we have, from dark Black to the lightest of our Blacks, how we fight each other within ourselves, how we try to keep ourselves from moving forward. Now, a lot of that was designed, as we all know, from the past. Our computers should do great. So, I need to put that out there. As a dark Black woman living in this community, I speak about myself only, it is a very difficult journey. If one more person pats me on my shoulder and tells me, thank you for the stuff that you do, I think again I'm going to choke. Because at the same time, though I'm grateful for that, I still have to live and survive. I cannot survive on pats. I cannot survive on thank you so much to pay my bills and what have you. But we think that Black and brown people are supposed to do everything for us. We need to recognize what is going on in our community. We really do. In order for Vallejoans to move forward, we have to start looking at us and stop looking at us as though we're the wind. What was that? Well, that was the wind. No, that was me trying to say something to you. Trying to get into white establishments. For most Black people, it's a difficult journey. You can call and you can knock on those doors, but they're going to bypass you and they're going to hire their white counterparts. And sorry to say they're going to hire Filipinos, but they're not going to hire very few Latinos or Black people. We are struggling every single day. I come to these types of things all the time, and I get frustrated because we talk and it doesn't change. Now, I understand I have done forums where you have the senators and the politicians and all that kind of stuff, and they frustrate me too, but what people did not hear me say to them was that, how is it that you can go down to Sacramento and create bills for us and you haven't asked us for what we want? You're creating things for us, and it's not what we want. I do believe that we do have to do it ourselves, but at the end of the day, we have to change those laws. I believe in the radicals. I believe in the people like me that believe that I don't have to go and scream or burn down stuff. I'm from Boston, okay? So I know what it's like, but I need you to know that Baltimore is not the Wire. Will be the Wire? I need you to know that. I didn't grow up, okay? So I just want to say that there's a lot of issues here. We need to start dealing with them, and we need to start opening up the doors to let us in. The rhetoric, I'm tired of hearing it. We need to start implementing. Thank you so much for the lesson.
Ashe. Just to piggyback on that, in terms of Vallejo being diverse, it is demographically diverse. And one thing that I think is commonly mistaken is demographic diversity and inclusion. The reality with Vallejo is the reality with any institution, if the people who are making the decisions are not diverse, then therein lies a problem. If there is a group of people making decisions on behalf of a collective that is predominantly white, then typically there engenders a problem that deserves to be corrected, especially in 2020. So thank you, Sister Asari, for saying what you said.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say right quick, how do we heal from a system that traumatized us in the first place? And so, and Ascari, thank you for mentioning about, I'm sick of hearing how diverse we are too. We may be diverse, but we're not inclusive. Yes, we do have diverse city leaders. They are people of color, but their mentality is Eurocentric. And I just also wanted to piggyback on what you said about talking about Indigenous people and our relationship to other people, but it goes further than that, and it is our relationship to the earth. We, as Black people, as Indigenous people, as brown people, we are the people who least destroy this earth, but we are the ones that are impacted by its destruction. And here, this makes us sick when we don't have clean water in Flint, when people at Standing Rock are forced to have their water contaminated by gunpoint and what's happening in Canada right now. So this is something that we need to also be talking about, is our relationship to the earth, because we are tribal peoples. Now, I'm Native American, I'm also African American, even though, you know, I would never be targeted as a Black woman. Mostly people would probably think I belong to on the other side of the fake border. But anyway, that is my heritage. And so we're tribal peoples, and we need to get back to our tribal ways, because culture is prevention.
What Ascari brought up was, it touched on something that I think is, for most Black people in this room, most of us will know what I'm saying right now is true, and maybe you had the same experience. My mother taught me when we were growing up, all the kids, there were 6 of us, 3 boys and 3 girls. She taught us that we had to be 3 times as good as our white counterpart. We had to work 3 times harder. That's how I grew up, knowing that I had to excel at everything. I have one of the only Black-owned nonprofit organizations in the city of Wales. We're doing excellent work. I am, through my organization, constantly having to prove our work, constantly having to prove. Why? I mean, I know why, but years after my mother first told me that I had to work 3 times as hard, I'm still working 3 times as hard. And it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. And I wish I had the answers. We're sitting here today, none of us have the answers to this stuff. We can dialogue about it, but I just thought about that. And we have to begin to start thinking about ways that we can work together to move past that. And first and foremost, being completely transparent and honest about where we are as African Americans, but also as a community. Black, white, Latino, whatever, being completely honest about where we are.
Thank you. And in the completeness of honesty, in 2012, the director of the CDC said that infant mortality is a barometer of societal health. Today, the disparity of infant mortality between Black and white people is greater than it was in 1850. So that is the barometer at which we should seek to understand racism.
Hi everybody, my name is Justin. So I've heard what everybody's input. I got your hand, but I appreciate what you said and what you said too. So to comment on that, for me, racism is everywhere. It's among Black people too. But looking at the statistics, then we cannot look at okay, this is where it's hard. I'm from Nigeria originally, but I'm still Black, not white. But coming to this country, I never thought about racism. I don't even think about it to start with, because I believe that I'm beyond that. I always think about the ego. No matter what it is, the ego can never change the storms and the winds. But the ego has devised a means to always fly above the storm. So that is how I put it. As a matter of fact, the first racism that I experienced in this country was from a Black woman. She got me fired from work. I've never experienced racism from any white person. So it's kind of like a test around the Black community as well. But what is my only input is, how do we change the trajectory of Black community? We have to think about, number one, what kind of legacy are we passing down to our kids? What kind of example are we giving? Because whatever we do, that's the footstep they're going to follow. And everything compounds to generational transfer. And the point that there was slavery, we are supposed to discuss it, but mentally, we are supposed to move on from there. Because if we keep thinking about it, it's like a mirror. Then we are increasing ourselves mentally, and we're going to be dysfunctional, and it gives us low self-esteem, and it cripples us mentally. Now, every day that I wake up and I see a white guy, already, because of what I'm told, because of what my family told me, my dad, my mom, I feel inferior already. I look at myself as a lower species. So we also have to change the narrative and tell our kids that you can become this. Nothing is going to stop you from becoming whatever you want to become. Don't look at color. The system can hold you to a certain point. It cannot hold you forever. And again, make our kids and our younger Black growing young men to understand that education is powerful. When they enroll in school, they stick to school. Don't drop out. Because a man without education is like living in a room without a window.
First, Dr. Fuller, I would like to say that Tuskegee University is the best system in this land. But the other is, my name is Eugene Dubois. I am Solano County Behavioral Health and Services Coordinator. Most importantly, I think for this topic of discussion, I'm a Black man. I grew up in Compton, California. I moved this way about a couple of years ago. And man, I was frustrated too every time I kept hearing this super diverse. I'm like, man, there must have been water out here. It was a little different. It'll make me real frustrated because like the inequities that we see across the country, across the state, exist right here. I mean, I just found some data that actually highlighted some of those disparities. That nearly half of our Black and Latino and Native Americans actually are struggling to meet their basic needs right here in Solano County as of 2018. And in comparison to their white and Asian counterparts, that only 20% struggling to meet their basic needs. here in this county. But also as I sit here, I think about and reflect on my current experiences, past experiences, and I could have raised my hand at a lot of things you were saying that I asked the questions on. But I think about like what we can do and what we often have to do as a necessity to live is to fight. We have to fight for regular jobs. We have to fight for basic care. My mother, I don't know if you all know this, and I'm growing into being an advocate and raising awareness for this, but my mother was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, early onset, at the age of 58. And it's progressing very fast. We've had to fight to get the appropriate diagnosis. We had to fight to get the adequate care. Still to this day, we have yet to sit down with a doctor to explain the consequences or the symptoms and how this impairs her functioning. And I bring up this theme that I would like to leave with you all in terms of having to fight every day for these basic things, is that they allow you to do a grievance with Kaiser that gives you about 3 different boxes to about 4,000 characters. I use every single one of those characters. It's been a fight since early last year, just for the basic necessities, and I could go over this a whole other type of things I've had to fight throughout my life. But this particular issue is a solid epidemic that's happening in our community, specifically for African American women and men specifically, huge disparities. But Kaiser today informed me that they have now changed their 20-year policy, that they've been discriminating actually against allowing individuals who are diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and dementia the rights to the geriatric care that is allowed for those who are usually 65 years and older. Therefore, so now my mother they're changing policy due to our advocacy, just myself, my brother, and my godmother. And so that needs to be done nationally as well. But I bring that up because it really highlights, for me, what we need to do is keep fighting and every single day. And it's not necessarily something that we choose to, but something that we have to.
Well, good evening. My name is Mustafa. I'm a longtime member of the Black community. I've been here since 1963. And but what I wanted to share is this, is as I sat, I stood and I listened by the table, I was a little late. And I stood and listened by the table to decide for myself whether I was going to stay. So I said, I'll see if I can do interesting that says to me stay and see what we can. And it was so interesting. The 2 ladies that I first heard talk, it was just really moving what I heard say. So I sat down and listened. And as I listen, it always fascinates me when I listen to folks how much I can, how there's so many smart people in the room, there's so many smart people on the planet, there's so many intelligent people that know so much that can be helpful and that I can learn from. And that's what I was talking about. As I listened to everybody, I thought to myself, because what I'm always trying to do is figure out, look for that thing, that if we could figure this one thing out, that would be the key to helping us understand how to solve the problems that we have as human beings. And as I listen, you think about the idea that in my mind, it seems to me that we're involved in something that's bigger than we are. I mean, all of us, the 8 billion of us on the planet, and every day there's a new baby born that adds to that. And that whole thing is controlled by something, and you can call it whatever you want, but that's bigger than all of us. And it occurred to me as I listened here to what was being shared, that every one of us, and it doesn't matter who we are, how we're characterized, or where we are, because there's always been a lot talked about the overwhelming number of Black men and women in prison. but it doesn't matter to me what how you characterize or what you are, or how people see you. Everybody is playing a part. It makes me think about like a movie. That's just a movie, it's entertainment, but every character is playing a part. It's important to the story. Well, that's what listening to all of what you shared today, you think about it. That's what's going on. And it doesn't matter. And I'm not going to try to talk tonight about my thoughts about what this is all about. But it just occurs to me that everybody in here that contributes, everybody in the world that contributes, no matter what it is playing a part to what's going on. And it makes it can, it's like a stew or whatever you cook. It's happening. There's nothing we have to do other than what we do. There's nothing that we have to. I don't have to be anything that I'm not, or you or anybody. I mean, that's what occurs to me from listening tonight. And I can't tell you how much it meant to me just to be a part of it and come to that. And God willing, tomorrow I'll have something else I'll understand. But I wanted to know, to be part of this. So that's what I want to share.
Hello, Edgar here, community organizer and community. Thank you all for sharing space tonight and for sharing your stories and truths. Something that really resonated with me tonight is mental health. That's what we've been talking about a lot. But even just in as a community organizer who deals with mental health on a daily basis and microaggressions, right now, just very recently within like a space and expected to like support, because he's presidential candidate because he's gay, right? And I'm gay, so therefore I need to be in line with his politics. All these politics are not aligning with people of color. So like, there's been a lot of like, having to navigate and negotiate spaces within identity politics in my life, and that's like really taken a toll on me. And something that's just really resonating tonight is like how we show up for each other as far as mental health, right? Like how like just being here and hearing folks' truths and hearing folks' experiences has been like super helpful for me tonight. And one of the things that I've really been trying to implement in my personal life is how do I show up for other folks of color, right? How do I show up as an Indigenous person for other Indigenous folks, for our Black community, for our Latino community, and for the next community? Like how do we share space and share feeling as opposed to engaging in oppression Olympics or whatever other identity politic negotiations that we have to identify with. So I just wanted to say thank you all because this is like a feeling tonight. So thank you.
I'm a community organizer from Sacramento, so thank y'all for letting me be here. I'll tell you, same stuff's going on in our city. It's not happening, it's not isolated. It is a privilege to learn about racism instead of experiencing it your entire life. And I say that mostly to my white counterparts in the room, because what I keep hearing all day long is that we don't listen. They have been fighting, folks have been fighting for centuries, and that we don't sit down and we don't listen. That I think is like really one of the biggest problems that I see with what goes on. And it goes on from little things, from the fact that white men, and when we do listen, we let white men sit at the table with other white men to make the decisions on what the problems and what the solutions can be. All the way down to little things, but like, and I'm gonna give a really small example and probably not really off base here, but like down the way that we closed this meeting, or that closed that circle, and we had a person to interrupt and tell these Black folks how to close out, how to do their plate. You know what I mean? Like that, little things like that. Like how I've already watched white people in this room. I asked a man of color a question and a white man answer it. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. Like we need to do better, and we need to go and get our folks to do better. Like we don't listen and we don't do a good enough job at educating ourselves and listening. How we show up for each other is we need to shut up and listen. they're leaving, and then we keep getting in the way. That's what I heard tonight. Is that folks like myself get in the way of it all. So I'll be the first to apologize for it.
Thank you for that. From what I'm hearing, you know, I really appreciate what you said and some of the people on this side. You were talking about the fight and that we all play a part, right? And on this issue, there is no middle ground, there's no lukewarm, you know. Whether you like it or not, you're choosing a side. And what we need is people to be our allies, you know, and speak in circles that we can't speak in, you know, that will carry more weight because it came from you than it came from me. And I have that perfect example that happened earlier today where, can I call you out a little bit? All right. You know, as a woman, a lot of times we are not listened to. And as a Black woman, a lot of times we are not listened to. And just to be able to speak your voice and not be cut off is a struggle. But when you have someone like Devon who intercedes and be like, hey, listen, don't disrespect her, listen to her. You know, what you're doing isn't right, and what you're doing is you're showing the white privilege, and you really need to stand back. So, I mean, it really meant a lot to me, you know, because in that moment, it was like, man, I have to fight again, you know, and also with these microaggressions, sometimes you don't even realize it kind of becomes norm, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, that was like disrespectful, you know, and for someone who was in an outside position and to speak on my behalf, and I didn't have to have that fight, was just like, okay, you know, I got this, you know, I'm supported. And I challenge all of you to do that for each other, you know. And I kind of just want to, we're getting close to the end, and just want to close out the evening in some ways that you can participate and how you get your voice heard. Devon mentioned earlier about a community event or community organization. It's called Solano Hills, which stands for Health Equity for African American and Black Lives in Solano. And our mission is to decrease Black infant mortality rates. Black infants die twice as much as white infants. This is nothing new. This has been happening since slavery. Okay, and so we need to change that. As Devon said, infant mortality rate is a measure of how the health of the community is doing. Okay, so not only are Black infants dying, but Black mothers are dying in childbirth as well at rates of 2 to 16 times as high as white counterparts, and that needs to stop and that needs to change. So I invite you to come and be a participant, be an ally, be a voice to help spread this information and also help implement strategies to change this. We have a website. If you Google Solano Hills, HEALS, you can find our website and our meeting information, or you can just come and see and give you that information as well. So we want to thank you all for coming out tonight. We really appreciate everyone's views and being open and speaking your truths. And we hope that this is the start of healing. Because when you tell your story, that in itself is a healing process. So we want each other to heal each other as we move forward. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, so to close, are there any other people from community organizations that would like to offer their information about how people might be involved?
Yes. As I mentioned a little earlier, I'm the Ethnic Services Coordinator for Solano County Behavioral Health. Every county in the state of California is responsible for having a cultural competence committee, which basically holds the county behavioral health system of care accountable to meet the needs of the community, especially in relationship to the culturally responsive services, the underserved and often underrepresented communities in their jurisdiction. So we all know who that particularly pertains to, but if you're interested in getting involved with us locally, at least especially as we talk about mental health here in the community, definitely I'll stick around, share my information with you, and bring
There you go. So as I said, I'm Rhonda Renfro, and I'm the executive director of Club Stride Inc. And I said earlier, it's a youth empowerment organization. Club Stride is located on 3 high school campuses in the city of Solano. We have a program on each of those campuses called Rustin. It's an acronym for Solano Alliance Towards Unity. It is an alliance of 60 students from all 3 campuses who focus on building a digital network or developing a digital network for student support, advocacy, and health equity. And we're located right here in Maryland. We've been around since 1997, and our mission is to increase the scale and impact equity of civic education. And we use media and technology to engage young people in civic action. So we want to promote as much as possible opportunities for young people to get involved. So we're located right here. If you have any questions about our organization or want to get involved, we need help. It's very important for young people to understand their responsibility as members of society in shaping the lives of their community. So, and I can't say it enough how important that is to any type of public health interventions that come into the city of Vallejo, to have the support of the community and a healthy community that's actively involved in what is happening here. So, yeah, if you want to know anything more about it, I do have cards. That's my style. I would like to say, as it starts, one day, please get in touch with me. Actually, Saturday we're doing Black History at the Vallejo Naval Museum in the theater from 6 to 8. We're talking about the Panthers, the legacy, the myth, and where are we today, which has lots to do with what we were talking about as well. I want to also say about Dr. Renfro's program, she does a great job. And she needs the support. As an educator myself and one that has worked with youth the majority of my life, it's imperative that we support these types of organizations. We need you to just not talk about it. We need you to walk your talk and be there for us. Let's just not say, oh yeah, I like that organization, or I'm going to be there, and we don't see. Where are you? Where are you, Black folks? When things are going down, we need your support. We need you there, not to just talk about it on the telephone and then hang up. We have gotten to a place of complacency where we are now, because it's 2020, we now have our houses, we now have our cars, our Mercedes, our whatever. I got a hoop to Mercedes, okay? And I got lights on the side of that car too. So I'm just saying, we have got to do more. We have got to stop talking, and we have got to be doers. At one point in our lifetime, we were. We stood out there and we marched. We took whatever we needed to do, did whatever we needed to do to make a change for our communities. We were. It takes a village to raise a child. But we're not there anymore. I'm not afraid to say that. You don't have to like me. I don't care. Because I'm going to keep on fighting the best way that I know how. So I challenge all of you to get off those phones. When you hear the call, get out there and support. Or we're never going to change. But most importantly, we have to have dialogue. We have to have dialogue. And we have to listen to each other in order for us to move forward as a culture and as a people. And on that note, I thank you and hope to see you Saturday. Have a blessed day.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the Justice Coalition of Vallejo. They're a community organization. They're part of the Justice Needs Network, and they're organizing with the families of the victims of police violence, which is people here probably know is a big issue in the city. So I wanted to shout them out. They're organizing for support and new members. So it's Justice Coalition of Ohio. They're on Facebook.
Professor, oh, sorry.
Thank you for that. APT has done a lot of work specifically around supporting families. I think initially our work began like definitely frontline work and just the industry, right? Making noise with folks that don't experience and sometimes do pretty terrible things. But we really landed on how do we provide the kind of service to folks that made a difference, right? Like how do we support folks and allow them to lead themselves into whatever movement they found themselves going into. And with that said, we also have created this program called NH First, which is exciting because what we've done is we understand that over half of folks that are find themselves brutalized and murdered by police are in the midst of a mental health crisis, right? That does not mean that folks that deal with mental illness being incarcerated will be shot. It means that there has to be another way to do this, right? That doesn't involve. So what we decided to do is create our own team, right? And I would encourage folks that if there's a crack in the system that exists, and you have the room, the privilege, and the resources in order to create something to bridge that gap, right? Please do so. But the program that we created has, so if you want to know more, right, about that, we're NH First Stack on Facebook or APTP period or APTP Stack, like it's all student, like we're all working on the same, right, the same project. Or if you're interested in getting training from us on how we did create our program, we will gladly come out and just have a conversation and train folks on how to do crisis situations. And we will not charge stipends, we appreciate a sandwich. Gas money is low, also not necessary. So APTP Stack, APTP, or NH First.
Professor Kelly without close.
I just wanted to say that this evening has been extremely enriching for me. Really glad I came. It's a real learning experience for me. I don't know why I'm getting so choked up, but it's just been really, really great to listen to you all and to listen to your truths and your individual shared stories and experiences. I just wanted to just let you all know that the public health program, we have been working over the last, I guess it's now 13 years, to build relationships in the community with various partnering organizations, whether it's here, right here in Vallejo and other parts of Solano County and PharmD, California, to really foster collaboration, partnership through research, policy, analysis, and moving the needle in any way we can. In addition to training tomorrow's public health professionals, those with clinical dual joint degrees, as well as the Master of Public Health degree, to really be agents of change. And so part of my job is to coordinate the field study for public health, and that involves internship planning and managing and supervising placements for students who have to satisfy about 200 or 400 hours in the field. And so to me, like, that translates into very energized, motivated students who are, I have some here tonight who are in my class, that I can see them very interested in partnering and working with your organizations. I've had the opportunity and privilege to meet some of you tonight, and Dr. Renfro, forward, Dr. Caesar, Solano County. I'm so excited for behavioral health. And so let's try, we're just thinking about different ways that we can partner, but not only the students, but through faculty involvement, also staff involvement. Our staff are local, and so I know they'd be really interested in learning about more opportunities to get back and volunteer. We also have students who simply want to volunteer work with communities and see where there is a way to foster change in any way, if it's through research or evaluation, looking at policy. That's what we do in my class. We're looking at existing policy and on the ground, and if those that are actually providing solutions for perpetuating the epidemic of mass incarceration, we are looking at them as a class. And what we do when we have our guest speakers every week, we ask our guest speakers who are activists in the community, they're either lawyers or public health professionals, and they come in and we just ask them, what can we do as individuals, but also collectively, to really impact change at a larger level. And then the rest of the course, the other course that we're going to be focusing on is really focusing on taking that to the next step, looking at advocacy, mobilizing community partnerships on the ground, gathering movements for a common cause. So we're really hoping to really walk the talk, to implement, to educate our students, give them the skills to do that. And so with that, I just want to thank Dr. Lee for a great evening.
When you speak, you should listen. And I want to apologize to Rhonda. Because of telling you not the last person to speak.
Hello, everyone. So today I want to talk to you all about a project that I'm working on. So I have a team, and we're working on a project called the Genius Girl Project. So the Genius Girl is a statue of a young girl, and you know, I know that. And so we're trying to raise money for it, and I decided that today would be a nice day to tell you all about it. So this girl is kneeling like this with her hand over her heart. So this is what she looks like. And she's doing the Black Power sign. Now that doesn't just mean that it only represents African American people. It represents diversity. And that us as African American people and other races of people should come together and unite and be diverse. And Mrs. Starry still here? Mrs. Starry, I like what you said. And how you said that, well, we say that we're diverse, but really we're not. We're not. So diversity doesn't mean that you're not racist. Diversity means working together to raise a better community for those who come after you. That's what this statue represents. Represents harmony and teamwork. And so that's what I want to say.
So with that being said, I thank you all for your time. But more importantly, I thank you for being present in this space. Please enjoy the rest of your day.